The story I want to tell you today is shocking in its cruelty. This crime stands out even among the most horrific criminal cases. China Arnold was born on March 29, 1980, in Dayton, Ohio. In August 2005, China gave birth to a beautiful daughter whom she named Paris. No one could have predicted that the greatest danger to this infant would come from her own mother. By the time her daughter was born, China already had a criminal record. She was convicted of theft in 2000 and forgery in 2002. Little Paris wasn't destined to live long. Her life ended before she was even a month old. At the time, China was dating a man named Terrell Talley. Their relationship was clouded by a serious issue: paternity recognition. Terrell strongly doubted that he was Paris's father, which became the main source of conflict between them. Terrell persistently refused to acknowledge the girl as his daughter and take on paternal responsibilities. Only later, through DNA testing, was his biological paternity confirmed. The situation was exacerbated by Terrell's constant infidelity. When China learned about his affair with a neighbor, it became the last straw that broke her patience. But China's anger and resentment found outlet in the most monstrous act: she turned them against an innocent infant. On the fateful day of August 29, 2005, when Paris was just 28 days old, after another fierce argument with Terrell, China did the unthinkable. She placed the helpless baby in a microwave oven for 2 minutes. The next day, displaying remarkable composure, the woman brought her daughter to the hospital. The emergency room physician, Dr. Williams, immediately noticed serious burns on the child's body. When he asked the mother about the origin of the injuries, China responded with feigned bewilderment. "What burns are you talking about?" This unnatural reaction immediately alarmed the doctor. The burn injuries were so obvious that it was impossible not to notice them. The mother's pretense seemed outrageous. Of particular concern was the fact that China sought medical help when the child was already showing no signs of life. Despite all the efforts of the resuscitation team, Paris could not be saved. She was brought in already dead. Following their professional duty, the medical staff immediately notified law enforcement. The police immediately began an investigation, questioning the mother and examining her residence. During the search, investigators' attention was drawn to a bathtub with murky water, although initially this detail wasn't given much significance. Later, one of the detectives noted in his report the presence of skin tissue fragments in the water, though the significance of this evidence remained unclear at the time. The investigator found a damp dishcloth in the bathroom with dark particles stuck to it. Continuing to inspect the house for items that could cause burns to a child, he repeatedly walked through the kitchen. Later, the detective admitted that although the microwave oven was in plain sight, the thought that it could be the murder weapon never crossed his mind. Both medical professionals and investigators long struggled to determine the nature of the burns on the infant's body. These injuries differed significantly from typical burns caused by flame, boiling water, or hot oil. Although the trauma was obvious, its character seemed unusual and puzzled specialists. Dr. Marcella Fierro, a forensic examiner from Virginia, later determined that the child died from extreme tissue overheating. By her estimate, the microwave radiation lasted about 2 minutes, resulting in internal organ temperatures reaching lethal levels of 107 to 108 degrees. During questioning, China said she woke up to the child's crying around 2:30 a.m. According to the suspect, only she and her sleeping children were home at the time. Despite the absence of signs of forced entry and strangers in the apartment, the woman persistently denied her involvement in her daughter's death. After the initial detention, China had to be released due to insufficient evidence for charges. Initially, the case reached a deadlock due to contradictions between China's testimony denying her involvement and the lack of direct evidence of her guilt. The situation changed in 2006 when China was rearrested and charged with aggravated murder. The first trial proved highly contentious. An unexpected turn in the case occurred when Terrell Talley's 5-year-old son testified. The boy claimed he saw a neighbor put the baby in the microwave. This statement could have completely exonerated China, but the witness's young age and the implausibility of his story raised serious doubts with the judge, further complicating the investigation. During the second trial, the prosecution presented irrefutable evidence that on August 29, 2005, Tally's son physically couldn't have been in the indicated area of the city, completely disproving his testimony. This fact led investigators to believe that either China herself or someone supporting her deliberately coached the child to give false testimony in her favor. The decisive factor in the case became the testimony of China's cellmate, who was detained with her after the first arrest. At the second hearing, the woman told the court that China had confessed to committing the crime. According to her, the accused put her daughter in the microwave out of fear that her partner would discover the truth that he wasn't the child's biological father. This testimony indicated the premeditated nature of China's actions. Investigators concluded that she planned to hide potential infidelity, believing that with the child's death would also disappear the possibility of establishing true paternity. This was the position judges took at this stage of the trial. The cellmate's testimony was also presented in written form. In her testimony, the cellmate conveyed shocking details of China's confession, including her cynical remarks about how conveniently the baby fit in the microwave. Following the second hearing, the jury found China guilty but couldn't reach a unanimous decision regarding punishment, death penalty or life imprisonment. As a result, the court imposed life imprisonment. However, this sentence proved short-lived. In September 2010, the Second District Court of Appeals overturned the verdict. China's defense successfully challenged the decision, pointing to violations of the right to present key witnesses and prosecutorial misconduct in handling witnesses. This led to the discreditation of the cellmate's testimony. The third and final trial of China took place in May 2011. At the final hearing, decisive evidence was presented. Examination of the microwave oven revealed traces of the infant's biological material, irrefutably proving the prosecution's version. Moreover, numerous inconsistencies were found in China's own testimony, which substantially undermined her defense. During the investigation, it was discovered that China's testimony about the events of that night was false. Contrary to her claims about being alone and waking up to the child's crying at 2:30, it was established that she was with her boyfriend, and both were heavily intoxicated. Particularly troubling was the fact that the woman took no immediate action to save her daughter, seeking medical help only the next day. Investigators were also puzzled by the attempt to bathe the child, as evidenced by infant skin tissue fragments found in the bathtub. The motives for these actions remained unclear. For a fuller understanding of the accused personality, the court ordered psychological evaluation. Two specialists working with China established that she had average intelligence and no serious mental disorders. However, they diagnosed mild chronic depression combined with alcohol and drug addiction. The psychologists couldn't identify factors that could explain such a monstrous crime. In his closing argument, the prosecutor emphasized the exceptional cruelty of this murder. As the prosecutor noted, China's actions were methodical. She didn't just place the child in the microwave, but consciously performed the entire sequence of actions, closed the door, set the operating mode, and waited for the process to complete. The court was particularly outraged by the fact that after removing the infant from the oven, she placed it in a bathtub with water where skin delamination occurred, and coldly waited until the next day before seeking medical attention. All these circumstances characterize this crime as one of the most shocking and inhuman in criminological history. On May 20, 2011, the court delivered its final verdict in China Arnold's case: life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. There was one notable aspect to this dark story: support from the defendant's biological sister. She firmly believed in China's innocence, insisting that her sister had always shown maternal care and was a devoted mother to all her children. In her conviction, China was incapable of such an inhuman act. However, the collected evidence base inexorably pointed to the defendant's guilt. No evidence supported the defense's version that China was a loving and attentive mother. On the contrary, all evidence and testimony painted a portrait of a person capable of committing a monstrous crime against their own child. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and support the channel by subscribing. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to never miss my next video. Thanks for watching.